Okay. Hey everybody, Jimmy from Superpath here today with Natalie Williams from Brief Media. Natalie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So you were hiring for a content role. We'll talk about that specifically, but maybe first, could you just intro yourself? You're the CIO at Brief Media. So curious to learn more about you and also just kind of Brief Media in general.
Yes, sure. I am the Chief Information Officer at Brief Media. I've been with Brief a little more than 7 years, and Brief Media serves the veterinary industry. So we make products for veterinarians, specifically companion animals. So the veterinarians that take care of your dogs and cats and pets. And as CIO, we've recently kind of realigned some of our organizations. So I oversee our content and our data teams. And I'm really excited about the opportunities with this. I've worked over the last 7 years really most closely with our audience data. So we have Clinician's Brief, which is a premier brand in the veterinary market for clinical information. Worked as far back as 2015 on a project. We have a gated website, which can be unusual for some content marketers, or kind of controversial, but it works for our brand because of the content and the quality of the content that we produce. Veterinarians are willing to provide information about their job title and their business type and some additional information. So over the last 7 years, we've really developed a really powerful audience database. So it's an exciting opportunity to even more closely align that with our content team, because we know we create content for a very specific market. And so with the data that we can have, we can see how things are doing with the specific segment of veterinarians, or maybe people who are new to the profession versus someone who's been in the profession for 20 years, or what kinds of topics are people reading about or finding most engaging. So it's exciting to more closely align the two teams for my role, and to have both of those areas under my leadership. And a little bit more about Brief Media. It started in 2002. Our founder, Elizabeth Green, she has been in the animal health market, and she'd be in veterinary practices and would see, just always when she was in there, just these stacks of clinical journals. They were busy then. They're even busier now, especially with the challenges of COVID and curbside practice and things like that. But she saw a need. Veterinarians need to stay up to date on the latest clinical information and changes in the science that they need to practice quality medicine. But who has time to read the 18-page extended journal articles to stay up to date? So Clinician's Brief was founded to be brief and to give veterinarians the information that they need to stay up to date on the latest clinical topics, but in a brief, easy to read, easy to digest format. And over the last 20 years, Clinician's Brief it's our flagship brand, and known by all veterinarians in the United States. But we've also expanded into what we call point of care tools. So we have a drug reference product that we launched in 2015, partnered with a book that had been in market for 30 plus years, turned it into a digital product. And then at the end of last year, we launched an expanded premium version of the product that covers all aspects, from diagnosis to treatment to what we're sending home with pet owners. So Brief Media went from being a single print journal to now this portfolio of products that are designed to serve the needs of veterinarians. And it's just an exciting market to be part of. And everyone, so many people have pets that even if you're not a scientist, or into the clinical aspects of what veterinarians do, everyone understands they take care of pets, and we help them do a good job taking care of pets.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And actually, that's sort of a perfect segue into the role itself. One of the first things I wanted to ask you was existing subject matter expertise. How much of it does, so you're hiring for a director of digital content and audience growth.
Mm-hmm.
how much background does this person need on the industry?
Right.
Should they be, should they come from academia, or is someone with strong content chops from a different industry potentially a good candidate?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what makes our company different than most traditional content organizations is historically, since we do have this peer-reviewed journal and we do have this point of care tool, we do not have a traditional, like where we have journalists on staff or we have a newsroom or anything like that. We have commissioned content from subject matter experts. So if we're writing about the latest advances in dermatology, we're going to commission and have an expert who's board certified in dermatology write that clinical content. So where this new role comes in is we're looking to expand the Clinician's Brief brand beyond that peer-reviewed clinical content and look at what are more ways that we can connect with veterinarians and create more engagement on a regular basis. There is, obviously this ongoing need to stay up to date on the clinical and that peer-reviewed, but with the transformation of how we existed as a print journal in 2002 versus so many opportunities that we have with digital channels today. We have a weekday newsletter, we have a podcast, we have active social, but our content that we create doesn't always provide us with a way to connect in real time to what's going on, because when we're talking peer-reviewed content process, it can take 6 months to produce one piece of content versus I started in broadcast news. I'm like, I created things daily, hourly, it's a very different cadence. So we are looking with this role, and why we're growing is someone who does have a different background than what we have on our staff currently, someone that does have maybe a little more traditional content experience or journalistic background or content marketing experience, creating kind of content calendars and planning that's more around what's happening in the moment. How can we be part of the conversation and exploring some new formats beyond our traditional? We'll continue to do the peer reviewed, and that's led by a separate team. So the new director that we're hiring, we want to lead and direct some of that more engaging in the moment content, and look for new ways for us to be relevant and connect with the veterinarians in our audience beyond just the scientific studies, but what are the emotional aspects of practice? How are we dealing with conflict with coworkers or challenges with pet owners or things like that, some other topics to explore. So we do not, this person does not need to have a veterinary background or even a medical background. We do have lots of veterinarians on our team that work with the team that we can ask clinical questions and make sure that we're on track with our content, but it's not at all necessary for this person to have specific medical or veterinary experience. B2B content could be helpful, or experienced writing for an educated audience, or but even that is not a requirement. Just someone who really understands how to meet the needs of an audience, whatever that audience is. But in this case, obviously, will be veterinarians.
Really interesting. I imagine that for many folks who are thinking about this role, like what you just described is like a breath of fresh air, that you take subject matter expertise so seriously, both in the sense that like you have board certified folks with veterinary and medical backgrounds to deal with like the very specific subject matter, but then like this person can practice their own subject matter expertise and not be forced into a position where they have to essentially fake it, which does happen, unfortunately, in plenty of content roles. I guess 2 questions. One is, how blank is this canvas? Meaning like how much room is there for this person to come in and sort of kind of create their own vision and bring that to fruition, or is that kind of laid out and there will be steps for them to follow, or maybe is there kind of somewhere in between where like you and this person will collaborate to make that happen?
Right. I would say a collaboration for sure. And there's a lot of opportunity because this is a newly created position. It's not like we're coming in and saying, this is exactly how we've done it. We need someone to help us figure out what are those processes, and how are we going to work as a team and execute on this vision. But really, I see my role as more of providing a framework. So we're looking at clinicians brief in particular for this role and how it fits in with the brief media ecosystem, which now includes our point of care products that are paid plums and now Plums Pro. And so how, what opportunities exist for us to really make clinicians brief more of that top of the funnel product. So we'll have big picture goals, and we're not going to deviate from, from our purpose as a brand, or kind of who we are to, our mission is to guide the most critical decisions in veterinary medicine. And that could be as we're expanding clinical as well as non-clinical conversations that are happening. So we're not going to take any, completely crazy, crazy turns in terms of the purpose and who we are, but in terms of what opportunities exist to meet the needs of the audience. I think it's pretty open in terms of what's decided, what formats we pursue, what channels we develop. So there will be quite a bit of creative freedom and direction in this role, as long as it aligns with kind of the framework that we're putting in place, both for the business as well as aligning with the needs of our audience.
Gotcha. And as folks are applying or thinking of applying, are there certain things that would stand out to you in an application, like whether that be prior experience, something you're looking for in a resume, cover letter, writing sample, portfolio, or whatever else?
Yes, some things that would stand out to me, or that do stand out to me, if someone's had experience with a niche audience and growing, and so for us, we're not just trying to get page views for the sake of page views. We serve a specific market. So we're trying to look at how are we doing with the small animal veterinarians in our market, and are we seeing return visits from that group? So someone that has experience, and of course we look at page views, but taking analytics to, taking that deeper and understanding the importance of growing, it might be a smaller audience, but if you own that audience and have them coming back regularly. So experience with growing audiences, with targeted audiences. I'm excited about people that have taken some sort of process and made it better. So it can, in content, we can all pretty easily fall into the trap of creating more content and getting in this crazy, like, oh, we can do this and this and this. And it's not that we won't have good ideas, but someone who understands, maybe by taking a deeper look and seeing how content is performing, they discover that they didn't need to do as much of this type of content, but there were some great opportunities with here, or this was, so they then spent more resources in that area. So someone who's good with analyzing and optimizing based on the feedback that they're getting from engagement with audiences, and just, someone who's had experience taking something that doesn't currently exist, if they've built a new content type from scratch, and what were the results from that, or, when you just seeing someone that's taken something that didn't exist before and turned it into something that they were able to grow and optimize over time. So we're big on continuous improvement, optimizing feedback loops. So just someone who has experience doing that and is always learning, always improving, and someone who's had experience kind of growing and connecting with audiences, I would say, would stand out.
Perfect. I love it. Two quick ones for you. Will this person report directly to you? And then also, the role is remote. How remote? Is it US only, North America only, or is it global?
Yeah, good questions. The role does report to me. So I have the director of audience data, as well as our director of premium content. And then this new role which is the director that will be over the team that's tasked with audience growth and engagement. And it is remote. We are focusing on candidates in the US at present for the role, and we are headquartered in Tulsa, Oklahoma. However, we've added more than 20 positions since the beginning of COVID, and most everybody that we've added during that time does not live in Tulsa, and so we anticipate we'll continue to be remote. We do a lot of Zoom, and when we're able to for people to feel more comfortable gathering, I'm sure there will be trips to Tulsa, or trips. We have quite a few people in DC, or some different pockets where we will get together, but it's not a requirement. We're doing well virtually. So
cool. That's awesome. Natalie, can't thank you enough. I mean, it's just so nice to meet you, hear your voice, see your face, like get this additional context about the role, about Brief Media. So can't thank you enough for taking the time to do it. I'll also just throw out there to anyone watching who's like kind of on the fence, like, should I apply? I'm not sure. I don't know if I check every box. Please send me a DM in Slack and I will give you the kick to just do it. So if you need a little encouragement, or you want someone to like review your application or whatever, please just let me know. I'm happy to help any candidates who are interested in this role.
Very good. And probably the only place where, we'd be glad if you submitted a dog or a cat photo with your,
yes.
Like, absolutely. We have Slacks going with pet photos all day long. So definitely can include those if that helps. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Cool. Well, now we look forward to sending some folks your way shortly here. And thanks again for taking the time.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.